Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Quite a turnout today. Glad to see everybody here for our Placer County LAFCO meeting of April 9th, 2025. And our first item of business is a call to order and a salute to the flag. Sean, do you want to lead us in the salute to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll move to item 2, the roll call. Amy?
All right, Commissioner Alpine.
Here.
Commissioner Eklund. Absent. Commissioner Landon.
Here.
Commissioner Lohman.
Here.
Commissioner Rohan. Alternate Commissioner Bass.
Here.
Alternate Commissioner DiMattei.
Here.
Alternate Commissioner Friedman. Alternate Commissioner Spriggs. Absent. Alternate Commissioner Youngblood. Here. Chair Gustafson.
Here.
All right, and until Commissioner Eklund comes here, alternate Commissioner Bass will be voting in place of her.
Yeah, well, you don't have to, but then everybody can see your beautiful, handsome face there, too.
And alternate Commissioner Friedman will be voting for the vacant special district seat.
Thank you, Amy. We'll move now to item 3, changes and approval of the agenda. Does staff have any changes to the agenda?
Hello, Chair. No changes from staff.
Okay. Then I would look for a motion to approve our agenda for today.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? There she is. That was a quick turnaround. Traffic. Why doesn't the county do something about that?
I got it. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Okay, so the next item on the agenda item number 4 is public comment. This is your opportunity if you have anything that you would like to discuss with us that is not on our agenda today. If you have any other items or public comment you'd like to give to the commission. Mr. Garabedian, I saw you jumping up.
Yes, thank you. Michael Garabedian. I want to talk about something I do not see on the agenda.
Okay.
I do not see community service districts. I do not see an MSR for the county, which has a lot of building in the unincorporated territory. I lived in Solano County for quite a while, and they actually don't develop in the unincorporated territory, though there's a proposal there now for a new city. So my question is, why aren't, it appears you're not doing MSRs for development in the unincorporated territory, and the question is, why not? Because LAFCO is all about deciding who's best to provide the service, and when you're approving all these developments out there, you're sort of making an implicit decision that you think is better to provide services in that unincorporated territory than the cities. But I don't see it on your agenda, and so that's the issue I wanted to bring up and ask about. Why not? How come they're left off? Aren't they in the law? Are they not in the law? Welcome.
Are there other comments? Any public online that would like to make a comment?
No one has their hand up?
Yeah, please raise your hand if you're online and would like to make a general public comment. Okay, not seeing any, then we are going to close the public comment. I would draw your attention, Mr. Garabedian, to the work plan because it outlines all of the studies that are coming up. And that should indicate quite a few of those, and then we can talk further if we have a further response. We'll move then to item 5, consent items. Are there any commissioners who would like to remove or discuss any of our consent items? Not seeing any. Is there any public comment on any of our consent calendar items? Nobody's jumping up, anxious to talk about those. Anybody online? Not seeing any hands go up. Please raise your hand. Not seeing any hands go up. Okay, then I'll bring it back to the commission. Would someone like to make a motion on the consent items?
I'll move approval of consent as presented.
Have a motion, Ms. Friedman. Do I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Lohman. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Motion passes. We'll move then to our public hearings. And our first public hearing is LAFCO project number 2023-04, Service Review Study and Sphere of Influence Update for the City of Rocklin. This is the final, and the commission will consider accepting the final service review study and determining that no change to the City of Rocklin's sphere of influence is necessary. And then it cites all our CEQA code, and I won't read all that, but thank you, Michelle. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chair. As the Chair mentioned, this is the final service review, so the draft study was presented to the Commission at our January 15th meeting, at which time we opened a 30-day public comment period and circulated the draft to all the affected agencies and interested agencies. It was also posted on our website. Just a quick recap. The city's boundary is outlined in blue. The areas in green is their sphere of influence, which is their current sphere. Again, the staff recommendation is to retain the existing sphere. There were a couple of edits. The first one, between the draft and the final, the first one is simply to remove the reference to SB 1383. Which was at the request of the city. The second item, and I want to put a pin on this because this was at the request of the commission at the last meeting. And what this shows are all the boundaries where within, again, the City of Rocklin, but we have all these overlapping areas between our various special districts. So we have County Service Area 28, for example, in purple. And then we have the South Placer Fire Protection District in red. And then in the gold, which is about a third of, size-wise, of the City of Rocklin, we have Rocklin residents that they're in the Roseville Cemetery District, so they can only be interred in the Cemetery District. So the reason why I'm asking to put a pin on this, and we have an upcoming meeting, which obviously isn't on this agenda, for April 22nd. And this was such a great idea that I think we should add it to Factor 7, which is any other matters that the commission would like to pursue as far as boundaries and services. And this certainly ties in. We've had these in our prior service reviews, specifically for Lincoln and Roseville, but they're all over the place. And again, we're learning as we go, as we do these. And this came at the request of the commission, and then once we put it all together, it's like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. We should have it in one location. So anyway, again, not on the agenda, but I want to catch your attention, bring it to your attention, because it's a perfect example of things we can add to our policy. So this was included in the final service review. Again, it doesn't change the staff recommendations, the findings in the study, et cetera. But the staff recommendation is for the commission to adopt the proposed resolution 25-04, attachment A, to the staff report, which is accepting the final study, the final service review study for the City of Rocklin, making the required determinations set forth in the final study, and determining that no change to the city's sphere of influence is necessary. If you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them. We also have, well, she may not be on yet. We do have Amanda, who's out on sick leave at the moment, but I'm happy to answer your questions. As far as procedures, staff is requesting that the city, should they choose to provide the public comments, and then we open it up to the rest of the audience in person and online.
Okay, thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Michelle. Commissioners, do you have any comments on the procedures or on the substance here? Okay, then we'll open it up first to the city. I saw Ali here first, and then we'll go to public comment on this item.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair. Can I just ask that that last map be brought back up?
Oh, sure.
Because I can't find it in here.
Oh, okay. I can find it for you.
Thank you.
It's definitely there.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Gustafson and members of the commission, Ali Zimmerman, City Manager, City of Rocklin. We don't have any additional comments between the draft and the final. We appreciate the hard work of LAFCO staff and Amanda Ross with Southforth Consulting, who worked with us through this process. And we have no concerns about what is being recommended, and we're also looking forward to the discussion that is being recommended related to the tax rate areas. And with that, unless you have any questions for me, I would ask if Vice Mayor Bass has any additional comments? Any questions?
I don't. Do any of the commissioners have comments, questions? And congrats. I mean, this is the first one ever, right?
The very first one it only took us 132 years, but we're happy.
Yeah, long labor, long labor.
Thank you. Appreciate
Okay,
that.
thank you. Now I'll look out to the rest of the public. Are there any comments, public comments on this item? I'm not seeing any in the room, and then I'll look online. If you have a comment you'd like to make, please raise your hand in the Zoom link. No hands have raised, so we'll close the public hearing then. I didn't open it, but I took public comment. So we opened the public hearing. Again, one more call. Anybody? No? We'll close the public hearing. We'll come back to the commission. Any comments, questions, or motions?
I will move approval.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion from Supervisor Landon, a second from Commissioner Rohan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Congratulations, Ally. Congratulations, Rocklin. I know that was a long process. Okay, we're now going to move on to 6B. This is LAFCO project number 2022-03. Service review of Newcastle Fire Protection District, Penryn Fire Protection District, Placer Hills Fire Protection District, and South Placer Fire Protection District, and Fire Service of Roseville. I'm sorry, Lincoln Fire Department, Rocklin Fire Department, I skipped a line there. Lincoln Fire Department, Rocklin Fire Department, Roseville Fire Department, final study. So we're considering accepting the final service review study for the agencies listed. With that, Michelle, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chair. I won't repeat all the districts and agencies listed above, but let me just move on. So what's on hold? Again, we started this process, as you can see from the project number from 2022 for the fiscal year 2022-2023. And so we've been at this service review for a number of years. Currently, we have the agencies that was listed in the prior slide ready for the final service review, but I am requesting that the commission put a hold on put a hold on some of the other agencies for additional analysis. That's the Alta Fire Protection District, Forest Hill Fire Protection District, the City of Auburn Fire Department, the City of Colfax Fire Department, and incidentally, the City of Colfax is on our work plan beginning actually the end of this fiscal year to begin their service review. And then, of course, Placer County Fire Department, which is also County Service Area 28. So I wanted to note that this notice, which I believe was in the first page of the report, that agencies not reviewed, it was on the second page. Agencies not reviewed, meaning these agencies above, are mentioned occasionally in the final report to provide context only, but the analysis is not included in the report. So I wanted to also include some of the qualifiers in the study because there are options, a number of options, and we've received, I believe, a dozen or so public comments, which are included in the packet and out in the audience. But there was a preference for various options over others. So as noted in the staff report and also in the study, that these options, again, are just options. The commission is not taking any action today on those options, and it may be that they will not take any actions on those options in the future. They're simply for illustrative purposes, as the consultant noted. And then the sphere updates for the fire protection districts, the 4 that are going forward, which is Newcastle, Penryn, South Placer, and Placer Hills. That's up for additional analysis when staff brings back that study. And then, of course, if we have any annexations, dissolutions, reorganizations, et cetera, those are subject to additional study, financial analysis, et cetera, service analysis as required by state law. So I'm just going to go over, since we've received the presentation, I forgot to mention that, the draft presentation was on January 8th, 2025, and we did open a 45-day public comment period. We did receive a number of written comments and letters, et cetera, which are also included in the packet. But this is the staff recommendation, which is to adopt the proposed resolution number 25-05, which accepts the final study for the Newcastle, Penryn, Placer Hills, and South Placer Fire Protection District, as well as the cities of Lincoln, Rocklin, and Roseville for fire protection services. So in addition, LAFCO staff is recommending that your staff, return with an update to spheres of influence for those 4 agencies, those 4 fire protection districts, and that we continue working on those studies that we have on hold. I do have Don Jarvis with AP Triton on the line, who is able to answer questions should you have any, and also staff is available for questions. Again, with the prior public hearing item, we would ask that the affected agencies and districts be the first to go, the first to make comments, and then we'll open it up to the audience, both in person and online. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay, well, thank you. Commissioners, are there any questions? I have one quick question, Michelle. The second bullet, in addition, I know this isn't for action today, but you're continuing to work on those. That differs from the bullet on,
It got cut off.
yeah, so it looks like it was just cut off because
Yes. I'm
it
so
should also
sorry.
include Alta, Forest Hill, and Placer County Fire CSA 28.
Thanks. I think our logo is hiding it.
Maybe it's hiding it,
Yeah,
but-
let me reread that. Thank you so much, Chair. Okay, so the second bullet, LAFCO staff continue working on the service review study for the Auburn and Colfax fire districts, or fire departments, the Alta Fire Protection District, Forest Hill Fire Protection District, and Placer County Fire Department / Placer County CSA 28. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, with that clarification, I will open up for public comment now. If anybody in the public would like to address the commission, please come forward.
Good afternoon, Jennifer, Placer County. I just wanted to say I'm in favor of helping the study for the Newcastle Fire Protection Agency to come into the Placer Hills. I'm a resident of Newcastle, and I'm really concerned about having insurance at my house because A lot of these districts are in the wildlife urban interface or WUI areas, and we've seen the fire maps that have come out that have been published. These fire maps are showing different severities. We only have a few insurance companies anymore that will insure us really in these types of areas, which dictates where we can live. This also dictates our property values, which dictates the property taxes, which comes to the county later on for services as well. And I know also in Newcastle, our firefighters don't have any benefits, and they do the same amount of work, they take the same amount of risk, and they should get benefits, and by putting them into this, they'll be able to do that. Also, with that, they were going to get some special training for some kind of a trauma unit, so that would also be a really good thing for our area, because the Newcastle Fire Department also is a place that Penryn will call, Auburn will call. It goes to all the different areas, and it helps really support in fire times. You know, we also just let like 11 billion gallons of water out. So we need all the help we can get to make sure we're safe. In the summertime, I know last summer people were mowing and stuff and hit a spark and set little 9-acre fires here and there in our area. And it's so pivotal to have that there. And I would like to be able to afford to stay in my house and not have my insurance rates go through the roof. I know we talk a lot about affordable housing, but we don't talk about making the housing that people already have in our county affordable, because we are losing that through different things of insurance rates going up. Plus, in the long run, people won't be able to get home loans to live in our area if we don't have the proper support. So I really hope that you'll consider making sure that this happens, because it's, I think, a really, really important thing for all the WUI areas in Placer County, not just Newcastle. So I thank you for your listening.
Thank you, Jennifer. Mr. Garabedian, did you have public comment?
Thank you. Michael Garabedian, Placer County tomorrow, but basically is a historic note. Now, at one time, the Bickford Ranch area, as I understood it, was in Penryn Fire, and it was changed to be in what it is now. It wasn't Placer County. It was put in another fire district, and it's slipping my mind what the change was. This to me is a problematic thing to happen, to be changing a big development area from one area to another. Penryn did vote to increase their taxes as a result of that, because I happened to go to one of their fire department meetings, and they were really on hard times. So that kind of a decision, I assume LAFCO was involved in. And I'm not sure you made the right decision in that case, or what the reasons were, but I don't know. May have had perfectly sound reasons. But I think it's really important to mention that happening in this case, because whatever the policy was there, and however it happened for a project that then went on to get massive input, massive money from the state, the California Municipal Finance Agency, I mean, huge bucks. I think that's what paid for the new road up there and stuff like that. A very bad planning location. I know it's building out, but you know what, you've got it going down to a 2-lane highway right near that interchange where the road goes over. A lot of people crowd over to the CR College there. So there are a lot of bad decisions made in that project. It may have ended up with the best possible one, for all I know, but the process I wasn't familiar with at the time. I don't know what your role was in that at the time. When I say, I don't mean personally, I mean for LAFCO. But it demonstrates how important your agency is, and the decisions you make, whoever made that decision had a serious impact on Penryn, and they're even having good fire service. And that may be a factor when we have fire districts that are not well personed. I was a volunteer fireman in upstate New York myself, and was on some fires and know the difficulty in that situation. And also, and that was largely volunteer. It was all volunteer. And the volunteers who risk their lives and have accidents and shorten lifespans from inspecting causes and so forth, things like that after fires. These are personal impacts that affect communities and the people in them, and I hope you will be really cognizant of that kind of thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garabedian. Are there other members of the public? We have a packed house here, so don't be shy. I'm trying to catch people's eyes. Are you going to say anything? Do I have to roll out a red carpet and invite you? Thank you. Just based on the public comments we've gotten to date, I would assume more of you want to speak than are jumping up, so.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So I'm John Burns. I'm a resident of Newcastle. I'm also on the Newcastle Fire Board. And I know that we've had a request in for some time to work through some of the challenges in the area. And I think the Placer Hills Fire District and Newcastle Fire District should come together in the short term. And just hope that we can get somewhere. Seems like we're not getting anywhere. Seems like it's a lot of meetings, a lot of discussions. And you guys have a hard job, that's for sure. So I'm not a politician, but I would just really like to hear some solid discussions today in the near future of what the plan is. What are we going to do? We've paid a consultant to review the districts, come up with some really good ideas, and I would just like to see some movement here in the short term. So I think the Newcastle Fire District and Placer Hills should come together. I mean, we're already doing that today. We're already essentially working together, so hopefully we can get that done.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Alex Harvey. I'm on the board of directors of Placer Hills Fire. I'm so far right now I'm the sitting president. I've been on for the last 12 years. And I don't think the county has had a MSR in those last 12 years. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, there's never been one adopted.
No, but we've, like 5 or 6 years ago, the county did a study and it wasn't really approved. It wasn't up to standard, and we agreed on that too. But this study here, our board overwhelmingly endorses it, and so does our staff. And with all due respect, I appreciate you guys go ahead and vote for this MSR. Thank you.
Thank you. Other members of the public? Going once, going twice. Okay, then we're going to go online. Are there any members online that would like to address the commission today?
John McElhaney.
Thank you, John. Good afternoon. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, John McElhaney. I'm a member of the Forest Hill Fire Protection District Board of Directors. As far as public comment from the board, our position remains the same as it was when we submitted our written comments. We're in no way trying to slow down or interfere with any application before LAFCO regarding a merger between any agencies. However, there still exists information in the MSR that is very germane to Forest Hill, and that has not been corrected, even though we've been removed from the MSR. So there now exists a situation where there's information in the MSR recommending mergers involving an agency that is not even represented in the MSR. And I don't believe that's consistent with our rebuttal. I only have authority to speak as a board member on our original rebuttal, so I won't go beyond that. That's the area that I see that still is most glaring from our rebuttal. And I would, if I could be allowed, to take a moment to speak as a citizen and not as a member of the board.
Go ahead.
I'll reintroduce myself. John McElhaney, citizen of Forest Hill. I am not speaking on behalf of the Board of Directors. I believe that the MSR, as it was originally written, had a number of flaws. As it sits now, it's cobbled together, and we're way past the gates. It's time to put this thing to bed, recognize its deficiencies, and try to move on in some semblance of order. That being said, I am flabbergasted that the data in that report claims.
John, you're breaking up just a bit. Can you
The data
repeat
is
that?
inconclusive. I said I'm flabbergasted that the data still remains in the report, and all we've done is add comments from the contractor stating that they haven't been tested. They are lacking capital. I just am at a loss as to why we didn't take all of the elements involving financial data that involve agencies not in the MSR out of the project. It would be a cleaner MSR without those, and it still stands out as a striking example of failure during the development of this MSR. And that's my personal opinion, not that of the district.
Thank you, John, and thanks for your testimony as a Forest Hill Fire Board member and as a member of the general public. Are there any other members of the public online that would like to address the commission? I'm not seeing any other hands, and I'll come back to the room one more time. I've got a lot of people out there. Don't think you're all here for our budget. Maybe you are. Okay, then I'm going to close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission for discussion and any issues we'd like Michelle to address. Commissioners have comments or questions?
I have a question. I have a comment. I'm thinking that Section 5, the exploration of future reorganizations, should be probably omitted from this and brought back after the other fire districts of Auburn, Colfax, the county, Forest Hill that are complete. We could end up having 2 sections that would of exploration of future reorganizations that could be in conflict with each other. Would be cleaner for just one chapter being out in the public. With that being said, that doesn't affect the current application that is currently that was spoken here today with Placer Hills and Newcastle. They have their reorganization application currently before us, right?
Yes.
So that would not delay any of their things, or would it be, Michelle,
So,
if we
just-
remove these?
Yeah, but
section.
to clarify, you had a second part of your sentence there. You said omit Section 5 and bring it back. What do you mean by bring it back?
We could address reorganizations, not in this MSR.
Right, but you would have, again, when you're doing a reorganization, consolidations, annexations, et cetera, the district has to provide a plan for providing service. For example, you recently received one from the South Placer Fire Protection District.
Correct.
And that includes the fiscal analysis, the service analysis, their plan, if you will. And so when those reorganizations are brought forward, that's when you receive those, and that would not, this document does not become applicable. You can't take this document, for example, and say, oh, here it is, because this is just, again, as the consultant noted, for illustrative purposes. This is not a feasibility study. So I just want to make sure that your instructions are clear, because I understand the first part, which is to omit,
Right.
but the second part, to return, does not.
Well, I'm thinking that
make sense.
I'm thinking that the second part of just the subject of exploring future reorganizations be taken, looking at it separately. once you have completed the other MSRs in total of all the fire districts, so.
Okay, I just
Yes,
wanted to make sure.
but it wouldn't
because-
be in this, it wouldn't be in this study.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because LAFCO has very.
731 for those that are.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure because LAFCO has very specific requirements that are not here. It's called the Plan for Services. Again, and this is a teeny tiny portion of what is all required as part of that plan. So I didn't want to bring it back and the districts or anyone else assume that this is a complete document or even a required document.
Yeah, it would be that this section, since it was just, like we said, didn't have any real teeth or was just kind of illustrative of the, of what was there so far, where it would be nice to maybe have that, when we talk about exploration of future reorganizations,
Sure.
you have that taken on separately outside of this MSR, which would allow the MSR to be approved.
Okay, yes, I just wanted to clarify.
And then we could explore the exploration of future reorganizations could be taken after we have completed all the MSRs on the west side.
Okay, no, thank you for that.
Sorry
just
if I
wanted to
wasn't
make-
clear, was that?
I just,
Okay.
like I said, very specific in state law, and I didn't want anyone to assume that this was sufficient because it is not. So
No.
it will just be to omit. That's my understanding.
Just
This
omit it.
section. Okay. Okay. Second part of my question now. Pages 731, and then what was the last page?
So that was the question there. There was, in the illustration, there was the special districts illustrations, I believe, on page. What is it? Where's my notes? 794.
Okay, so so remove pages 731 through 794.
But I was going to ask, does 794 may want to stay because those are just exhibits of the boundaries of the current, right? 794 is an exhibit of Placer Hills. 793 is an exhibit of Penryn. Those should probably stay, right? I'm thinking,
Okay.
or should they be? And same with the Newcastle and but Forest Hill should be omitted.
Either way, as for staff does not have a preference.
I'd leave it up to, we could omit all of them, or we could have those illustrations still here. I'm
So
indifferent.
to clarify then, are you stopping on page 790?
I could do 792.
Okay, so 731 through 792 will be removed.
791. 791 will remove 792, which you'd leave the
Is-
three exhibits of the special district maps of Newcastle, Penryn, and Placer Hills.
Okay, thank you for answering my questions.
Okay. Commissioners?
Oh,
I would like to make sure that I understand. Is it minus section 5 and exhibits on page 731 through 791?
I thought those exhibits were the part of section 5, because
All right.
section 5 went into like this, what you heard today of option 1, option 2, and other things there that are not fully, we don't have full information on them, right? It's a
So for clarification
Patient is
again,
just leave those, just those maps.
if the motion was motion to adopt resolution number 2505 minus pages 731 through 791 in section 5?
Yes, that'd be
Okay.
correct.
Okay. For the final study on Newcastle, Penryn, Placer Hills, and South Placer Fire Protection Districts, as well as the cities of Lincoln, Rocklin, and Roseville for fire protection services, in addition to the executive officer's additional recommendations for staff to return with an update on the spheres of influence for the Newcastle, Penryn, Placer Hills, and South Placer Fire Districts. and for LAFCO staff to continue working on the service review for the Auburn and Colfax, Alta Vista, Forest Hill, and Placer County Fire Department / County CSA 28.
Yes, I apologize. I need further clarification upon the advice of legal counsel. Okay, so on page 780 of the pack 780 of 930, we have.
Oh, the appendices.
Yes, we have the.
I'm sorry. We should probably end it before then.
So should we also include that in the motion to remove those pages? That's my question.
I would, you mean all the responses, because the appendices of the responses for the,
Okay, I'll let Michael take
Michael,
over.
please.
With respect to section 5, it ends on page 778.
6, right? Yeah, it's section 6.
Of the, of your package. And you mentioned some additional pages beyond that that you might want to excise.
I'll stand corrected. We'll leave the appendices in the, that'd be a lot cleaner, correct? So, just removing section 5, which would be to 778 instead of 791. So that would just be the amendment of the motion that was put forward from Commissioner Rohan. So it would leave the appendices section 6 and all the items within there. We don't have to address those maps anymore. And it would just be cleanly moving section 5.
Okay, thank you.
Is that cleaner?
Yes.
Very clean?
I think I got it.
Motion's clear? Motion's
So
clear to
there's
the
a
public?
motion, but I need
No?
a second, and then I'd like to have discussion. So
Okay,
do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, then for first light I see on is Commissioner Friedman.
Thank you. So just point of clarification on what you're removing. There are still options referred to in the appendices. Those will be no. Okay, never mind. And I just want to make sure that we're not hamstringing future efforts for consolidation. Each agency can bring forward a request, a recommendation, whatever they want to have considered. Is that right?
It would not, that's correct. It wouldn't.
Okay.
In the objective is not to, when we were looking at the whole fire system as it says in section 5 of possible reorganizations, this would still allow the reorganizations that have been moving in front of us to move forward in a manner. That would be the Newcastle, Forest Hill. I think Forest Hill is still up, but Newcastle, Placer Hills, Penryn, South Placer. They could all be talking, but there is an application before us. That application, I don't think since this section has no bearing or negative effect of the MSRs, so it's not going to help or prohibit those MSRs moving forward in the study of those mergers. Then if we could address that reorganization portion of the MSR or of fire services when we actually have the other MSRs completed, and we can look at having all the data of coming up with something that may be a little different, but it would not oppose what is currently before us here of other things that we're doing with the special districts.
I want to be clear on that, Michelle. So this will not delay any further discussion and the application before us for Newcastle and Placer Hills.
Yes. It
By
will not- there will be-
alleviating these sections, that still proceeds without any delay.
Yes, exactly. And they are also still required to provide a plan for providing services, which is where the fiscal and service analysis lie. And that's why I wanted to be very clear that this in no way is that document, that requirement that we must receive from the applicants. Okay, and so no, it does not in any way slow down anyone's process at this point.
And we've heard, and many times over the last couple of years, the frustration with how long this process is taking. So I just wanted to make sure the public's very well aware of that, and that the MSR, what we call the report card on these agencies, is good to go. The options still included other agencies, get rid of that, and we can move forward.
Yes, and so the next step, again, is the sphere of influence, which requires analysis, and then any sort of reorganization applications that come before us also requires more analysis.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments, commissioners?
Nope.
Okay. Ms. Eklund?
Yeah, I just want to say that I agree with you. I think it's responsible for us to get all the data as close to accurate as we can so the recommendations are the most helpful. So I agree with you.
Yeah, thank you. It's just exploring future organizations. That section, I think you really, when we're leaving 7, 8 departments out, needs to be looked at if you're going to be looking at, but it does not stop the efforts of what the special districts have been working on for multiple years and getting their boards moving forward. These MSRs are now moving forward, and they're ready to do what they need to do, which is fine.
Thank you.
This does not affect it, and that section did not affect it.
Okay. Great. Everybody's clear on the motion, and so Amy, please call the roll.
Commissioner Alpine,
Yes.
Commissioner Eklund,
Yes.
Commissioner Landon,
Yes.
Commissioner Lohman,
Aye.
Commissioner Rohan,
Yes.
Alternate Commissioner Friedman,
Yes.
and Chair Gustafson.
Aye.
All right, motion carries.
Thank you. Moving forward.
Believe it or not, that's also a first service review for those 4
So
fires.
first service review, and
Because
all of
the
this.
rest have died on the vine. So yay.
Well, welcome to Placer County, Michelle. We're coming up to speed and addressing these issues, so
But
thank
lots
you.
of firsts today. I'm so happy. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, and thanks all for your attendance. We'll move now to item 6C. This is the Service Review Study and Sphere of Influence Update for our project number 2024-01 South Placer Municipal Utility District. And Michelle, I will once again turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chair. This is not the first service review for SPMUD, which is amazing. But I will turn over the presentation to Jillian Glickman, who is with RSG. She and Carol, who was at our last meeting, presented the draft study, and so she is back. Jillian is back to give you a presentation on what's changed between the draft and the final. And Jillian, I'll just click when you tell me to, or go advance.
Great. Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Gustafson and fellow commissioners. My name is Jillian Glickman, Senior Analyst with RSG. You can go to the next slide. To begin the presentation, I'd first like to provide a brief recap on our progress to date on the MSR and SOI update for the South Placer Municipal Utility District. Our work began with data collection that took place in July, followed by the administrative draft that was circulated to LAFCO and district staff in November of last year. A revised draft was then circulated to LAFCO staff in December of 2024, and we then brought the administrative draft to the Commission on January 15th of this year, in which the Commission directed us and LAFCO staff to make a series of changes. So just to go over those brief changes, they included a direction to include a map showing where Placer County's sewer maintenance district's boundaries can be found in proximity to the district. We also received direction to include locations of the Dry Creek and Pleasant Grove wastewater treatment plants on maps included in the report. In addition to conducting additional research into Placer County's sewer maintenance districts in order to determine whether the report should reference the Placer County Sewer Maintenance District number 2 or County Service Area number 28, based on inconclusive research conducted beforehand. In February, LAFCO staff received written comments on the draft from Placer County. In March, the South Placer Municipal Utility District also provided written comments on the draft, and a revised draft was circulated to LAFCO staff, which is presented before you today as the final version of the report. And with that being said, I'd like to first now provide a summary of some of the public comments received on the draft. You can click to the next slide. So first, the commission may recall that the City of Lincoln provided comments during the January 15th commission meeting. They pertain to a parcel located west of Creekside Lane where the district currently provides out-of-area services through a formal contract in place. The MSR had expressed that the district would rather allow the City of Lincoln to provide wastewater services given its proximity to the parcel, while the City of Lincoln expressed that annexing the parcel would be difficult due to challenges associated with providing other city-provided services to the parcel. We also, you can go back to the previous slide.
Sorry.
We also received additional comments after the January 15th meeting, including comments from the County of Placer dated February 14th of 2025. In summary, the county requested that Sewer Maintenance District Number 2 not be subject to a LAFCO MSR and SOI update until the county has the opportunity to research and respond to the MSR with a comprehensive review, update, and recommendation. Other minor comments that were made by the county can be found in Appendix 1 of the report. Furthermore, the South Placer Municipal Utility District also provided minor comments in the draft. These comments included updated wastewater capacity figures, additional details included for out-of-area service parcels, and then also additional minor details on the pension obligation section of the report. You can go ahead and click to the next slide. So in accordance with the comments received during the public review period of the administrative draft report, RSG has made the following key updates, which I will go ahead and summarize as they are currently on the slide in front of you. So RSG included the SPWA wastewater treatment plants on the SPMUD jurisdictional boundary and SOI map, currently Figure 1 in the report, as was requested by the Commission at the January 15th meeting. We also included a map in Figure 7 of the report to show the location of Placer County's sewer maintenance districts relative to the district to give a better idea of where those were in proximity to the district. We also had received comments regarding the Sewer Maintenance District Number 1 boundaries, so we went ahead and reflected and updated those throughout the MSR in all of the maps where those boundaries were previously, which were Figure 1 and 13. We also included additional background and history on Placer County's sewer maintenance districts to give additional context. Furthermore, we refined some of the wastewater capacity and demand figures based on district comments provided. Some of those changes can be found on pages 34 through 36 of the report. And lastly, we also included additional details regarding the district's out-of-area service agreements based on the City of Lincoln's and district comments received. Much of that conversation is in page 37 through 44 of the report. And then the next slide, we'll go ahead and discuss the final recommendations proposed by RSG and LAFCO staff. You can go ahead and switch. And then to preference the recommendations shown on this slide, I did want to note that the determinations and recommendations in this version remain unchanged since the prior version of the report presented to the Commission in January. In sum, it is recommended that the Commission affirm the district's sphere of influence with the creation of a special study area for the Granite Bay community, approve the expansion of the district's jurisdictional boundary to include the 7 out-of-area service parcels upon receipt of a completed change of organization application, initiate discussions with the City of Lincoln, the district, and the City of Rocklin as necessary regarding the parcel located off Creekside Lane, in addition to conduct an MSR and SOI update for CSA 28 in Placer County's sewer maintenance districts 1, 2, and 3, given their close proximity to the district and lack of publicly available information. We also want to note that CSA 28, in addition to SMD 1, 2, and 3, have also not had an MSR completed to date. Go to the next slide. And that concludes our presentation for today. I'd like to turn it back to you, Chair, for any questions or comments.
Well, thank you. Appreciate the presentation and the thoroughness of the report. Appreciate that very much. Are there any questions from the commission? Clarifications?
I do have one.
Okay.
I would like to
Commissioner Rohan?
clarify that with the adoption of the proposed resolution, we're not taking any specific action on any of the recommendations that the consultant made. They simply stand as recommendations that were part of the report. We're accepting the report.
Yes, in fact, right, the recommendation is to accept the report and then update the sphere of influence as it is. There is no timeline specified. You'll note that in our budget and work plan, there are references. Let me find. We have, sorry, not on that item yet. Just for illustrative purposes, I just want to show you where it is. Because I wanted to let you know that staff is not ignoring the recommendations, simply that there's just not a date. So if you start on page 908 of 930 in the packet, it includes all of our service reviews and the status of the service reviews. You'll note in the middle of the page, it has the dependent districts, which has CSA 28, the sewer districts. Again, we still need more information on this district. And then Placer Vineyards Parks and Rec District. But my point is that staff did not ignore the recommendation. It's simply not in our work plan yet, but should the commission choose to include that in our work plan in a subsequent item under 6D, you can do so. But as it stands, it's simply just recommendations in the study, and unless the commission takes other actions.
Thank you, Commissioner Rohan. Any other commissioner questions or comments first? Okay, then we're going to open the public hearing and invite up any members of South Placer first, agency first, and then any members of the public.
Thank you, Chair Gustafson and members of the commission. My name is Eric Nielsen. I'm the general manager at the South Placer Municipal Utility District. Appreciate the opportunity to provide comment. Wanted to first start by expressing our appreciation to LAFCO staff. Even before the MSR, have been very engaged with SPMED staff, and it's appreciated in working through trying to achieve our vision to provide effective and cost-efficient service to our customers. And so wanted to, again, just acknowledge and thank them for their efforts. Want to acknowledge Jillian Glickman and Carol with RSG and of course, Executive Officer McIntyre and her staff. Really appreciated and wanted to note that they came and presented to the SPMED board last week and shared with us a preview of what we saw tonight, and I appreciated that extra effort and the engagement from staff. We support the recommendations in the MSR. We recognize that this is the beginning, and we look forward to supporting the commission in the efforts to provide service to the residents of Placer County in an efficient and effective way. And I'm happy to answer any questions that the commission may have.
Thank you, Mr. Nielsen. Any questions? Thank you for being here, and thanks for the kind words. We know we have a stellar staff here at LAFCO. I'll look out to the public for any comments from the public on this item.
Michael Garabedian, Placer County, tomorrow. So I came across, I wonder if this, I don't know if this involves the sewer plant in Lincoln. Does anybody know offhand? It doesn't? It doesn't involve the pipeline from Lincoln, from Auburn to Lincoln? Thank you.
Thank you for double checking. Then I'll go online to see if you're online and would like to raise your hand and provide any public comment. Not seeing any hands go up. And again, I'll come back to the room in case there's anyone else who would like to address the Commission? Not seeing any, we'll close the public hearing and we'll go to commissioner comments.
Chair Gustafson, before you begin,
Yes.
I just wanted to follow up with something that Commissioner Rohan addressed, because it came up previously before your commission on another MSR. And since you're getting up to speed with MSRs now, I thought it would be appropriate. Your commission is asked to accept the MSRs. The actual language in the resolution is that you find the MSR to be adequate and complete. And the reason for that is you therefore are not adopting any recommendations that may be deliberately in an MSR, accidentally in an MSR, misread one way or another. You're merely finding the MSR to be adequate and complete and therefore satisfying the requirement under law. So that's why you'll see that language every time there's a proposed resolution in front of your commission with respect to an MSR.
Thanks for that clarification. Okay, I'll look to the commission. If there's no other questions, then I would look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve LAFCO resolution number 2506.
Oh, Amy, can we switch back? Sorry. Switch back to my presentation. It has the
recommended actions.
Oh, okay, sorry. Jeremy.
Jeremy, if you, I know he's back there listening. There we go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Accepting the final study attachment B for South Placer Municipal Utility District, making the required determinations set forth in the final study and determining that no changes to the district sphere is necessary.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. So Commissioner Alpine made the motion, Commissioner Lowe made the second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Okay. So now we'll move on to our proposed work plan and budget. This is item 6D on our agenda. And I will turn it back again to Michelle to cover our proposed work plan and budget for 25-26.
Thank you, Chair. Oh, there's Amanda. Amanda's online. I just, I listed all these projects, and Amanda did her magic and created this graphic. But these are the projects that the commission approved last year. These are the projects that we finished. And I just want to pause for a moment, because we always hear about all the projects that we're tackling, and we have a lot. But we are completing some, and some of these projects are actually really neat. That's my professional opinion, neat. So just a couple of things that I want to highlight. I won't highlight every single one, but for the North Tahoe Fire Protection District, that reorganization, that was actually quite it was new for this county and this LAFCO. What this commission approved was the extension of ambulance rides, so 201 rides, to another county, and also expanding their assessment, overlaying it to another county, and then increasing the TRA, which is the tax rate areas, right? Their allocation of the property tax rate. I mean, it was quite a project, and it took us a number of years, but we finished last year. And then along that same line, we have the South Placer Fire Protection District, again, extending ambulance from one division, turning that power on, activating that latent power from one division to another. And we did look through our project files, and past reorganizations, past fire district actions. That was the first time this LAFCO has done that. And so these are neat projects. Everyone, of course, knows LAFCO for annexations, and we do a lot of annexations, but it's these special projects that are, at least for me, that are exciting. So those were two projects that I wanted to highlight just because they are pretty unique. And then also, of course, our strategic plan, which is how we have our new logo and things like that. And just all of the our plans for going forward into the future. And so I wanted to pause before we get into our new things. And congratulations to you guys.
Pausing, what you didn't mention, along with everything else in the North Tahoe Fire Protection District merger with Meeks Bay, thank you, thanks for helping, was that there was a choice between El Dorado LAFCO and Placer LAFCO dealing with that. Michelle had just come on board, and El Dorado was understaffed and asked us to do it. So not only did you make all that happen, Michelle, through many meetings, but by Placer County taking the lead, we were able to get the project done for those folks. So appreciated your efforts and leadership on that.
Thank you. Okay, so now the new items. So for this fiscal year, we have 34 projects. Most of them are underway already. And really, it's a continuation of what we've been doing for the last couple of years, the last couple of fiscal years. So I won't spend too much time on this because I want to focus on the new items, but many of these are, service reviews, sphere of influence updates, again, because we are so far behind. And the good news is we're learning as we go and fine-tuning resolutions, things like that, exhibits, etc. So we're getting hopefully better. And then, of course, our reorganizations that have already been submitted, the 2 fire protection districts, the SUD B and AQ, which is just a cleanup item, another Village 5B, and also a little bit of Village 7B for the City of Lincoln. The West Oaks apartment complex, I believe it's just the parking structure, but that's currently unincorporated. And so the city, I know, is working on finalizing the application, the City of Rocklin. Okay, and then just rounding out the last 10 of the projects, the islands in SPMUD. These are the areas the districts already provide services by contract. So now with their service review adopted and their sphere of influence updated, they can now submit all of the annexation applications. And then again, the South Placer, the red area of that map that I asked you to put a pin on and remember, from the City of Rocklin service review. So again, I know we talked about this project before, but I believe it's about $75,000 in revenue that the district is collecting, but it's being served by the city, and that transfer is happening. So that city is not losing that revenue, but we'd like to make sure that it's automatic going forward, so there's no chance of missing that in the future. And again, we like to see logical boundaries. And then some of the other tasks that we have going on, the new item, which is a high priority item for us, is hiring 2 new staff members, and I'll go into that a little bit more. But otherwise, these items are a continuation of last year. And Amanda did these for me, the new. And so I wanted it to stand out. These are the new projects. Again, these are the applications that we're waiting on. The Lincoln Village 5B, it's looking to be a pretty substantial, not as large as 5A, but it's certainly a large annexation. And so I know the City of Lincoln staff are working on that. The West Oaks Apartments, which I've already mentioned, and these other projects. So those are all new, and I wanted them to stand out. Okay, moving along to the budget. So our budget is relatively the same as the last 2 fiscal years, but you're seeing a big increase to our revenue. Again, we see it as revenue, and I realize that people in the audience, you see it as an invoice. So I do appreciate that for you, it is a bill. So we are increasing the budget, the operating budget by 20%. and that's really to fund those 2 positions. And again, this is to reflect the strategic plan that the commission adopted. And the other item that we are seeing lowered on this is our contract services. It's professional and special services general, which is the budget line item that we use for consultants. So again, the thought behind this is that we are increasing our staffing by 40%. So let's decrease the contract services by 40%. And I realize that is only a partial offset, but that's where those numbers came from. Okay, so diving a little bit deeper, again, Amanda created this. She's so fantastic with these graphics. So the LAFCO budget is funded in 3 equal parts. Placer County, of the flat 1/3, the 6 cities are, they're apportioned in proportion to their revenue, as well as the 37 special districts. So these are only the top, did I put 5? Yes, the top 5 of the agencies that received the largest invoice for LAFCO. The first, always Placer County, because they have that flat 1/3. So it is an increase of about $71,000 between last fiscal year and this fiscal year. And City of Roseville, really not that far behind, with about a $60,000 increase. The 3rd highest invoice that we send out is to the Placer County Water Agency, and their invoice is going to increase by nearly $15,000, followed by the cities of Rocklin and Lincoln, about $4,500 and nearly $4,000 respectively. So those are the largest contributors, if you will, to our budget. So the staff recommendation is to adopt the proposed work plan and budget with any desired modifications, and to distribute the proposed work plan and budget to our 44 funding agencies, and return to your June 11th meeting for the commission's adoption of the final work plan and budget. And again, I'm happy to receive any comments, edits, etc. from the commission. And I neglected to mention that, although it was in my staff report, the Personnel Committee met twice in March to review various staffing models and options. And so if you do have any questions regarding that, I did include some slides that were in the March 26 agenda packet, just because there was a lot of discussion about the staffing model, relying on consultants, 1 staff versus 2, levels of staffing, etc. And so I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Landon.
Thanks.
Question on my side.
Okay. I just go by the lights I see. Sorry.
Thanks, Michelle. This is great. I love the little icons, and the graphics make it very light and easy to read. I just had, so obviously the cost increases are of concern, and so just knowing that each jurisdiction is going to suffer it at different levels. I reached out to some of our city partners just to kind of see, to get a gauge for whether they were aware of the increase, if they're okay with that increase, and a few were not aware, a few were aware, and just going back, I just have Roseville, Rocklin, and the county on just going back to 2022, and so even though it's a large increase just from this year to next year, going back to 2022, Roseville's had more than a $100,000 increase. Rocklin is almost doubled, and the county is about $150,000 more. And I think we have to do what we have to do. I think we'll have to bite the bullet and do that. But my request would just be because not everyone is aware of why we're increasing the budget, what this money is needed for. It feels kind of backwards for us to vote on it first and then go out to all of our partners and say this is what we're doing. I would love to be able to have staff be able to make sure to connect with all of the impacted agencies, especially the ones that are impacted more, just to explain kind of this is the reason why. And if I'm the only one that feels that way, that's okay. I just felt like getting input from all of them before we make a decision would be helpful. Just kind of thinking of like a tag, or, you know, it doesn't have to be an ongoing regular meeting, but just to do some outreach. But
So,
those are just my thoughts.
So I just want to be clear. This is the proposed budget. So we are legislatively mandated to adopt a proposed budget. I believe it's by May 15. May 1st? No, it's May 1st. And then the direction from the legislature is that we then send it to all of our funding agencies, all the 44. And so yes, there is opportunities for comment. And in fact, if you recall from last fiscal year, when we sent out the proposed budget and the proposed work plan, we received comments from the cemetery districts and comments from some of our districts on the east slopes, you know, a couple of fire districts, CSDs, et cetera, that provide services. And then they requested an amendment to the work plan. And so there's certainly opportunities for them to comment. It's built into the state law.
Okay, that makes me feel better. Thank you.
And then, of course, the final, you must adopt a final by June 15th. And we have it on the schedule for June 11th.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I think it's great that we do that. I think it'd be great to do hold some meetings in case, virtually or whatever, yeah, just to answer questions, because sometimes you get papers in the mail and you don't always read everything thoroughly or understand.
Yes, I hate to show up uninvited and unannounced, but when I do receive invitations, again, South Placer MED, for example, who just stated that, I do come.
But perhaps even just having a couple virtual meetings with the 44 agencies, just saying, you know, we're holding this workshop if you want to hear more about our budget.
Sure, I can do that. I can send it out as part of the proposed
Packet, yeah.
budget. And,
That way they felt included and can comment, I know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that might be a good idea. I'm sorry, Commissioner Friedman, you had a question? And then Commissioner Rohan, I'm sorry.
Sorry, yeah, I actually have similar concerns, so you articulated them well for me, thank you. Because some of these increases appear to be small, I mean, it's only 10%. Yeah, PCWA is only 10%, but most of these other ones exceed 20%, and they are kind of high. But what I'm hearing you say is there's an opportunity to amend those, even?
No. The revenues of the cities and the revenues of the district are, you know, they're provided by the state controller's office. And so, and the source is the districts themselves, the city themselves. It's just that they collate them for all the LAFCOs and then provide us the revenue. These are the revenues.
But the invoice from us.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
the invoice from us. Thank you.
I'm calling it invoice. To be, to be and then the other thing I just want to say is I'm on the budget committee. The budget committee has not met. And so I have a little bit of heartburn over now I'm hearing these deadlines and I'm having a little bit of heartburn over that, because I think the budget committee needs to go through this before just saying, sure, go hire 2 new staff, which is a 40% increase, and 20% of the revenue increase is for staff, I believe is what you said. And so I kind of think the budget committee needs to have a conversation about this. And recognizing the accomplishments and the work plan and the strategic plan and how they all get to come together to develop this, we still haven't had a committee meeting about it.
Right, so again, back to what I said in my verbal presentation, The change, which you see, it's really related to personnel. All the other changes have been stable. It's personnel.
Right, but I understand the personnel is related to the work plan. In order to expect you to accomplish what's in there, then you need that staff to get it done.
Right.
So, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Commissioner Rohan? Okay. Well, I had a quick question because I wasn't on personnel and I am on budget. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Oh, can I just finish what I was saying?
Sorry, yeah.
It may make sense to at least brief the budget committee. I mean, personnel is 90 usually, and public service is a huge amount of your budget, but nonetheless, you should at least look through it, I think.
Yes.
Would you be opposed to having, during this process, also having a budget committee?
No, not at all. We have plenty of time. Again, it's not final, or it's not due until June 15th, and our scheduled meeting is June 11th, and so we have plenty of time to meet.
Okay, so that would be good. And then I had one question for Personnel Committee, does this budget still include the full-time position that we were looking for Amanda to come on board?
Yes.
Okay.
So let me just go through.
Because it's too new, but we'd already budgeted for that position?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is what was in the packet for the Personnel Committee, which is the salary and benefits projection. So you'll notice the executive officer. These are the county descriptions or job descriptions,
Right.
Which we use, right? So the assistant executive officer, for example, is the planner principal. And so it is full-time equivalent. And so these are the two new, you'll see in purple and magenta, I don't know what color that is, which is the planner senior and the planner associate. So this is one of the complete benefits and salary projection.
Okay, great. I appreciate seeing that because I just wasn't sure where that fit in. So we've really added in the last 2 years. Part of the questions I think we're hearing is how much it's grown year over year for 3 or 4 years. Well, we've added last year a position and now 2 more for this coming year.
Yes, and I agree. We have been increasing our budget by a lot, but we've also been increasing our workload because of all the mandated.
Absolutely. I'm not debating that, but I'm just looking at those receiving a sticker shock that explanation helps perhaps because they're all managers of districts with heavy personnel burdens too and cities. So.
Absolutely. No, and again,
Yeah.
that's why I wanted to call it an invoice for the people.
Especially when we go from one, when we started with one and why we have no MSRs. Okay, I'm sorry. Commissioner Spriggs.
Yeah, so
Alternate Commissioner Spriggs. Sorry, I forget all the titles.
So I think what's important is a little bit of background from the public meetings that were the Personnel Committee. Those 2 meetings were public meetings. And what was discussed there was challenges that we've seen across the board with various consultants getting these done, right? Like the way in which that they are approaching the work is not the same as if we've had somebody that is internal on staff doing this with the same commitment, the same understanding of our community spirit and all of these things, right? So while it is more, and anybody else who's on the Personnel Committee, please feel free to jump into, because I'm just paraphrasing, but from our perspective, we're actually risking a lot more reputationally with our partners not having these done in-house, where we know that the ones that have been done in-house have been done really well, and people have really, the due diligence has been there. We have not seen the same with the consultants doing them. Not in every case, of course, but in many of the cases. So that I think is a really important part of this discussion, especially for those that weren't able to attend or haven't been able to, look at any of the meeting notes or whatever. But that is a key part of this, is that, what we gain by bringing this in-house versus having out-of-town consultants doing this work.
Thank you. Yes, alternate Commissioner DeMattei.
Thank you. You had mentioned that you were going to cut consulting by 40%, but you're going to increase 2 people by 40%. What's the 40% you're saving? Because you had mentioned it's really not balanced, so we're still spending 60% of the 40 you're
Right.
cutting. What is that money, and how can we cut it more?
Sure, you could cut more, but that would require that tomorrow you bring 2 more people on board. There is going to be, again, we are working with HR, as I mentioned at the last personnel committee. So we have provided HR with the proposed job specs. And they will take those specs and make sure that these are the planner senior and the planner associate positions are appropriate with what we're tasking these 2 new employees. But there is a process, right? So they will need to go out for a recruitment, and I hope it doesn't take too long, but in the meantime, our work plan does not stop. And so we need that gap, you know, that period, so that we can continue with our work plan, so we don't slow down and while we're waiting for these 2 new positions.
Right. No, I understand that. You just had said that you were going to save money, but
No, I said it's partially offset, and I recognize that it is a very, very small portion of the total cost for 2 new employees.
in your thought, how many would you have to staff to get rid of outside consultants 100%? And could we do it in-house a lot less? So I guess in the private sector, if you need 10, you hire 7 and pay them of 8, you still save 20%. So is that something that could be done here in-house without consultants?
So that's a fantastic question, because we've had a lot of conversations around that and the service reviews. What we've noticed, I think Commissioner Alpine called it the smart sheet, if you will. There's a lot of these chapters, you know, a lot of the factors, it's called factors in the law, and then we treat them like, you know, each factor has its own chapter. And there are multiple chapters that could be done in-house that could be updated throughout the year. Like, we don't need to wait 5 years. For example, the disadvantaged unincorporated communities, right? Those are numbers that we can continuously update. That is one entire chapter, one factor of the service review. The population projections, again, that's something that we can continually update every single fiscal year. That's another chapter. And so my idea, and I think we've discussed this all, and you know, again with Commissioner Alpine's idea of the SMART strategy, is that we get to a point where we are caught up, and then we're continuously updating, so that if you have a developer that is coming in ready with a shovel, then all of your studies are complete. But we need to have a baseline, because most of these studies have not been completed. Once that is done, there are opportunities for us to continually update chapters in-house as needed, where we don't need to have a consultant do the entire study.
Thank you for that.
Commissioner Alpine?
Yeah, I'll add a little bit onto. So the personnel committee met twice, and the budget did come into play, I think, in both of those meetings. And what we're looking at is the onboarding of five positions at the same time of trying to complete a minimum of 9 MSRs annually. So there's kind of like a bubble in the budget, and of where we're going to have probably large consultant staff and onboarding of new employees until they start getting off, and then one will shrink off. We did request to the budget committee that hasn't met yet. We would like to, the personnel committee kind of suggested that Michelle take to the budget committee and come up with a multi-year budget, a two-year budget at least, so it could kind of reflect that kind of onboarding, that bubble, and then you can kind of start seeing where things will level off. And the other thing that we have a problem with is, since we were so far behind in the MSRs, and there's 45 of them that need to be done in 5 years, once we already have these things done and we have the formats, they will not be as intensive as they are now.
Yes.
Right now, they're extremely intensive. There's a little bit of it's a little bit longer process than projected. People are getting, the cities and the special districts, our customers, are getting used to now what the MSR process is, the support staff that each city needs to provide, the special districts need to provide, and our partnership with the county that they need to provide. That this is just this exercise has not been something that was brought into our culture for a while. And so there's just some growing pains as we're going through this, but I think that having a multi-year budget to reflect some of that, it would kind of calm that this is not an agency that is empire building. We don't want to look like that. We don't want to look like we're cutting gold plating a commission on the expense of the community's dollars and special districts dollars that are already thin to come by. But that's kind of, so we're hoping that this will get to the budget committee. The budget committee could start developing some of these tools that'll explain what is actually happening with LAFCO and some of the budget increases and why they're there, and show that that there is a point that they'll level off or decrease. You know, they should not be growing at 20 or 30%. They should be growing at like 3 or 2.5. So you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you.
Commissioner Rohan?
Yes, I guess the only thing I would like to add to the discussion is that when this work plan and budget do go to the funding partners, I think it's really important for them to understand that when they have concerns about it, we want to hear about it.
Yes.
We want to come in the front door and talk about what their concerns are. We're interested. And we're going to end up doing more work in partnership if we are hearing directly from them.
Absolutely, which is why I brought up what happened last year, because, you know, we don't know how urgent some of their projects are, and so to get that feedback is incredibly helpful. You know, and so, personally, I always like to hear from the public and our partner agencies, so.
Thank you. Commissioner Friedman?
Yeah, I'm just curious, if the, as a follow-up to that, if the budget is due by June 15th, that only allows, so for them to question their invoice, they have to do it before the final budget is adopted, is that correct?
Right, so the commission will have a public hearing on June 11th, and they can receive comments and make amendments just like that you could today. And yes, that is well within the deadline.
So the invoices would be going out?
The invoices are not done by LAFCO staff. By state law, it's required that the county auditor sends out the invoices to the funding agencies, and I believe they do that July 1st, the beginning of the fiscal year. And then you'll see, for example, when we look at the mid-year, they don't all come in at once. We do have, you know, the stragglers or whatever. I think at mid-year we only had 25% of our budget of our revenue. So they do eventually pay, and then there is of course, you know, if they don't pay, then state law mandates that the auditor collects from their property tax revenues. So again, that is outside of our.
Commissioner Friedman, can I correct? Because you're talking about invoicing, that's one thing. But I think what you're suggesting is they need to, once this is approved today, we've instructed her to get out a report to the funding agencies
Right.
and hold a virtual meeting
Okay.
so that they can have input, at least have an explanation, right?
And I
Because-
fully support that
Yeah.
idea, because some of these are smaller special districts, I'm just looking at the list, that can't just, jump on a meeting tomorrow, so. I support that.
And I think to Commissioner Rohan's point, to encourage people to show up, but often we want input. The real discussions happen before you get to the meeting, and that, you know, a virtual meeting like that would really give everybody the opportunity to have better understanding. I'm going to keep going with commissioners, and then I'll go to the audience. Alternate Commissioner Bass.
Sure. I guess my question is there really a process to get any kind of relief, or is it just
just give us your opinion, and you're still gonna have to pay the invoice.
I mean, what do you mean? Is there an opportunity for the commission to reduce the budget?
Well, reduce the budget, or, slash the
Sure.
everybody's ability to have to pay the
Absolutely.
whole rip.
Oops, wrong side. We're looking at, again, the thing. Absolutely. So, again, all of the projects are ongoing from the current year. They're already underway, but we do have new projects. So you could slash the projects because those are tied to, the work plan and the related budget, they go hand in hand. So to complete projects, you need staff or consultants, one of the two. And then if you are not interested in funding the full complete budget, then we will have to cut portions of the work plan.
And then by cutting portions of the work plan, is there any consequence from the state because of that?
Sure. Well, not the state, but there are consequences from, your item number 2, for example, which is the City of Rocklin. And so that development project gets put on hold. The City of Lincoln, number 1, their development gets put on hold. So it's not the state. I mean, frankly, the state doesn't care if you Rocklin have annexations, but I imagine that the city would want to, voice their opinion.
And then that's just for the new projects. That doesn't mean that we couldn't slow down existing projects.
Sure.
Or reprioritize.
Or just go slower.
Yeah.
Some cities are facing deficits, so I'm just trying to figure out with unfunded state mandate. I said some cities are facing deficits next year or the year after, and so I'm just looking, at when we're seeing increases of 50, 60%, just, something to be considerate about. Thanks.
Commissioner Alpine?
I think that's a good point. That's why we had the budget committee. But the cities and the special districts, but the budget committee will be televised. I mean, that meeting is an open meeting. It's not a committee meeting. But yeah, if the city is if you're looking at going into deficits or having hard times or special districts or things, that needs to get communicated, and we will alter. This is kind of just projecting of like, this is our work plan, this is aggressive work plan, this is what we'd like to do. It doesn't mean that it could be all that this work plan is at the expense of our partnership or the ownership agencies, right? So if they say, hey, we can't really absorb this right now, we should be adjusting.
Right, and then again, it would be up to the commission to decide which of those items you want to slow down or cut, and we can bring that.
Yeah, I mean, we could just reduce $4,000 for Rocklin and take an entire project off.
I'm sorry. I can't hear you.
I said, it sounds to me like, for example, that I said, we could take $4,000 off of our bill for Rocklin and take the entire project off. That's what it.
Oh, no, that's not what I was suggesting.
So could we do that with the county too and save $300,000 and take all the projects off?
Yeah.
Would it be the same thing, right?
Well, I think this is such great dialogue because for so long, this commission was fairly inactive, and so it was innocuous, and the budget stayed relatively flat for a very long time. Now we're seeing all this pressure on us to take action on all these things, right? And so we have to figure out what are those priorities, what have the most meaning, and that is the point. You do it is usually in the budget process and the work plan. So
Right.
I really appreciate your efforts on doing this, and I'm sorry, Supervisor Landon.
No, I just had
Commissioner
a
Landon.
thought, additional comment. Even going to the work plan, you know, I think on the county side, we're essentially hiring a whole staff person to handle the workload that's gonna come, which is, you know, we have to do what we have to do. But that's taxpayer dollars as well. So people they're still paying for it. They're just paying for it through us. So, you know, I think it's a fair and valid conversation around the priorities of do we really have to plow through everything this year, or are there things that are less? And I know that they're prioritized right now, so that may have already been vetted and done. But I do think that's an important piece of that puzzle is just, and it's an additional workload for all the jurisdictions, you know, on their staff as well.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, for example, let's see, I'm trying to pick one. Just at the very top, the town of Loomis, you know, that study is underway. I believe we're pretty close to having a draft, but the town could say, you know what, we don't really. Now, okay, here's where you run into problems though when you do that. So the state tells you to do a service review and a sphere update every 5 years. So that is conflicting with your, you know, legislative mandates. So that's the challenge with a lot of these, right? It's frankly, you know, it's driven by timelines and deadlines, and also driven by if a agency or even members of the public, as we discussed recently, where they can submit applications for a sphere update and annexations. Now, they can't apply for a service review, but certainly a sphere and an annexation. And then, because they submitted a sphere request or an annexation request, then you have to do the service review anyway. So, you know, so those are those, again, not to, I would love to hear from our partners and, of course, you know, hear their priorities, but you also have other considerations that are mandated in state law.
Commissioner Eklund, and then
Jefferson.
Commissioner.
I have to excuse myself. I have to make it to my other meeting. I have a council meeting tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you. Commissioner Eklund.
Yeah, that was some of the things you were both speaking about were the questions that I had that, and then extra thoughts on top of that are, it seems to me as I'm calculating in my mind the pros and the cons of slowing down to save money, and the fact that financially we're kind of in this bubble that can taper off. I think that by slowing down at least the in progress and new projects, it seems like we're already into them. We've spent money and staff time on these projects already. To go back or pause seems, I don't know if it's worth having that kind of efficiency impact. And then it also, I think, in my opinion, it's critical that we do keep our momentum and our pace. As much as it's uncomfortable and we're having growing pains, like Josh was saying, Commissioner Alpine, I think it's so important that we just plow through, because we don't have that baseline that we were talking about before. And it seems like every project that comes through, we tend to still trip over things that haven't been addressed yet. And so I'm wondering, you know, how efficient are we and how accurate are we when we have these like overlapping and CSA 28 and, you know, that span across a lot of different areas that we're working on. And so I think it's just really important to me, and I think for the city of Lincoln, that we do just maintain our momentum, and we're comfortable, at least our city, at paying that difference and investing in the efficiency and the strength and the integrity of what we're trying to all do as a commission, so that also our partners, when they come through with these special projects that aren't part of our baseline, we're not putting them on hold, and we can actually serve them as well. So I think that was everything that I was thinking about.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other commissioner comments now? I would like to go to the public and see if there's any public comments, and we can have more discussion, but I know that we have at least one member of the public who wants to speak with us.
Good evening, Commissioners. Nice to see everybody. Dane Wadley, California Special Districts Association. Just wanted to offer, as you're talking through these kind of workshop ideas, if we can help you with any outreach to, obviously, the partner agencies, happy to do so. Obviously, we'll let the Commission take credit for any invoice increases, but anything that we can do to communicate, we appreciate the partnership with you guys and all of our members here in Placer County. So, thank you.
Thank you.
He's only doing that because you know he has us on the hook for Chair Gustafson and I are on the hook to do a presentation in a couple of months.
Yep.
Voluntold.
I was voluntold, yes. Yes,
Hi.
Chief.
Yeah,
Good
Mark
to
Dewar.
see you today.
Good
Yes.
to see you all. South Placer Fire, thank you for the time. This is the agenda item I've been waiting for, so I can't believe all my friends left so early. In all seriousness, as a district that is no stranger to financial struggles, seeing an increase for something like this is something we take seriously. But I believe this is an investment in our future as organizations and districts, and I fully support what's coming because I see the work that you all are doing. And as a commission, you have a great burden to make sure that this stuff is getting done and approved, and the fact that we have a milestone this meeting of 2 MSRs that have been approved for the first time, one affecting me directly. I'm super thankful for the work, but I think you should also be super thankful for the work that Amy and Michelle and Amanda are doing, because they're doing a fantastic job in this everyday, day-to-day stuff. So thankful for them, thankful for you all, and just wanted to say appreciate it. A little bit of a surprise, but when you see the work plan and what's going on and all the people that are being affected, it means a lot, and that's important. I just want to get that on the record, so thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public who would like to address the commission tonight?
Yes, Michael Garabedian, Placer County Tomorrow. Well, I've enjoyed the talk. Have some points I'll run through quickly that all could use some more thought, and I'll try to do that. First of all, we have 5 major community plans that are very unusual. For instance, the county exec seems to have a huge role in dealing with the development agreements and ongoing, and the agreements keep changing. Secondly, the Placer County Conservation Plan is pretty unique in California history, I think. It has, it's run by a JPA with 2 Board of Supervisors members and someone from Lincoln, but it's run basically in secret. It has the meetings that take place that public can't go to, and it has no presence, et cetera, for instance. So how do people know what's going on? You go there and you're given, at least when I went there a couple of times, you're given a phone number.
Mr. Garabedian, we're on our work plan and budget. I'm not sure if PCCP is relevant to this discussion.
I think the development and creation of new development that you are dealing with is right on point. I couldn't disagree with you more. So the public is having a difficult time. The Planning Commission just decided not to allow the involvement through Zoom and that kind of thing, and adhere to a strict 3 minutes, even if there's only one person there meeting and has something to say. They won't accept any more time. This group it was formed in 1964 by the first Governor Brown, and then the major change was in 2000, the Commission on Local Governments in the 21st Century. I don't remember the exact name, but the major LAFCO reform bill happened. And the worst thing that happened there, I'm sure I've mentioned before, there was in it to create the community areas for rural hamlets and that kind of them, to give them a sphere of influence, which was taken out at the last committee meeting with the author Hertzberg and Assemblyman, going to that meeting with the League of Cities in tow and taking that out of the bill. Unfortunately, though, as I've mentioned before, you have that in your own county LAFCO rules. So it was kind of fun listening to see all these major things that are happening. And I think that the job you have in making your plan and spending money and that kind of stuff is actually critical to have a more visible role on your part and for people to understand a lot better how you are affecting them in their communities and what you can do that things are being kind of run over in effect by the way these huge community plans, these massive 5 different community plans are being developed, and the subdivisions that are being approved willy-nilly. The final note,
You know what that beep meant, correct?
Pardon me?
You knew what the beep meant? The 3-minute rule, I'm sorry.
Yes, well, I'll finish up,
Quickly, 5 seconds.
No, I'll save it for another time.
Oh, okay.
I think those rules are anti-public, you know? There's no one else here, and you just don't want to hear.
Thank you, Mr. Gerberding. Are there any other members of the public in the room? Okay, then I'm going to go online. Are there any members of the public online that would like to address this item? Please raise your hand on Zoom. Okay, not seeing any. Okay, then I'll bring it back. We'll close the public meeting, our public comments, and we'll go to the commission. Are there other further discussion?
Chair Gustafson,
Yes.
before the commission begins its further discussions, I just wanted to mention something that some newer commissioners may not be aware of. It's particularly pertinent to the special district and city commissioners, and that's with respect to how the LAFCO invoice is divvied up. Under the law, you know, the special districts pay 1/3 and the cities pay 1/3. The default distribution is, as Ms. McIntyre explained, it's based on the proportionate revenue of each special district, the proportionate revenue of each city. However, the cities do have the authority under LAFCO law to meet among themselves and agree to a different distribution among themselves. So that is something that's available for the cities to discuss. The same is true for the special districts. They can meet and agree to a different way of distributing the LAFCO invoices. So I just wanted to make sure, some commissioners may not have been aware that that's something that's out there.
And I did do a lot of research into this because the way that Placer LAFCO does this, again, is what's in the law. It's what's default, as Michael mentioned. But when you look at overwhelmingly up and down the state, including my prior LAFCO, the cities and the special districts, they use other metrics. And so
For their third.
yes, for their third, and how it's divvied up in their third. So for example, in my prior LAFCO, because we have some cities that provided more services than others, same here, we have the city of Roseville, for example, that has, it's a full service city. And then we have, Loomis, Auburn, and Colfax that have fewer services, maybe just sewer services, things of that nature. So what they use for the calculation is just the property tax revenue, as opposed to, their revenue from the, Roseville Electric or their sewer, et cetera, et cetera. So that tends to smooth out those differences that you see, with the cities, and then again, of course, then the special districts have similar options.
Thank you. Are there any other discussion items? Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't want my comments to seem like I was, disparaging the work that LAFCO does. It's more that, the two things that we're facing right now are unfunded state mandates and the loss of commercial properties to housing. And so when cities are looking at their revenues, it's irrelevant of whether we all come amongst ourselves and decide who's going to take the bigger portion of the pie. It's just overall the pain that everyone's feeling. And again, it's not pejorative to LAFCO, but it is an unfunded state mandate to have to pay into something, even though the state's telling us to do it. So it's just one more thing on top of another. And I just wanted to be a voice for those cities and areas that are getting whatever regulation coming down to them and having to pay more and more. But never meant to, say that we weren't doing important work here. Thanks.
I appreciate that.
I didn't think you said that, yeah.
Huh?
I didn't think that's what you meant.
I appreciate your clarification, but I didn't take it that way. I do think, and correct me if I'm wrong for those of you who've served on this commission longer, but partially by being inactive for the number of years you were, nobody's hands got slapped by not having an MSR done. Obviously, Rocklin, how many years? So we do need to prioritize based on actions that are coming where those efforts are necessary. And even looking at our existing work plan, some of those are, people are doing them, but I don't know that they have an urgent item. They're just doing their MSR. And so maybe those where we know and can prioritize, that might help guide us in that priority setting, where we know somebody has an annexation or a boundary adjustment or a new service. Those may take priority over just doing a standard MSR for an agency that's not planning to do anything with it, if that makes sense.
Yes, no,
I know for decades I did, filled out all my information and handed it to the former LAFCO director, and it would sit on the shelf and nothing would happen. So, I think that is an area where we could help prioritize and not hurt any of the jurisdictions. At the same time, if we had said no to Lincoln, if we weren't staffed up and able to have just spent what we spent on Village 5, I mean, think about that process and the expense and the time of that process, and similarly on the fire district MSR. So it's in public policy, most of what we do is balancing acts and trying to navigate competing interests and making sure we've prioritized. So
No, absolutely.
I appreciate that very much. Commissioner Eklund, did you have?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a balancing act, and I think it's unique, at least from my time here and understanding, wrapping my mind around the situation and the scope of the work and the why. It is equally a priority, I think, to get that baseline done, because if we do have new annexations, and I can't speak necessarily for the impact it did or didn't have on our annexation, which we're very appreciative of the work that was done for us in Lincoln. It still seems like it would be a priority to get that foundational structure as completed as possible, so that when these new projects come in, we know exactly what we're approving, and we're not potentially building on top of something that has not just weaknesses, but deficiencies or overlapping or potential, billing issues. We just don't know until we get that squared away. So I think it is a balancing act, and I wouldn't say no new projects, of course, but I do think it's still a priority to get that baseline done, and then all the work after that should be easier, it sounds.
Yes,
and then
absolutely.
we'll have our flow and our zen.
And often when agencies or organizations face a bubble in workload, they do look at consulting assistance, because that is, then you can reduce without impacting employees. So that is another opportunity. Commissioner Alpine?
I was just going to suggest maybe we just move the bubble down and just stay as a consulting agency until you want to. The most expensive part that we have in our budget is onloading 5 positions.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what we're looking. That's why you're having this kind of jump. We're going to be hiring people. They have to be staffed up. They're not really productive. They're not going to be productive employees right off the bat. You're going to have to still have this consultant on call. We're going to be still using consultants at the same time of onboard, and then you start offloading one of them. That's a very expensive process. And if it is something like that, that's probably something that the budget committee could look at, of when you'd like to see that bubble, or we'd like to continue on the arc that we're doing it, of getting the savings ladder, or that's what would be. It's an exercise, but.
Well, and some of these costs may take us months and months to realize, so it may not hit that we need to invoice for all of the full year, when we may be able to phase it, and it probably will be phased just by the reality of hiring and.
Yes, absolutely.
And all that.
That's exactly
That's what
what I wanted to
okay.
say. The Personnel Committee recognized that onboarding people is going to be a lengthy process, and what we have anticipated in terms of cost is likely to not be achieved for all the reasons that you described. So I think that it's very important for the Budget Committee to keep that into consideration as well.
Absolutely. Any further commissioner comments? Okay, Commissioner Eklund?
Yeah, that reminded me. My concern and I don't know, just thinking and speaking out loud, is, as it came up in our personnel meeting, is the timeliness of it. And my former commissioner reiterated multiple times before my time that that was a priority, is getting staffed up. We've got to get staffed, and it's taken so long. And you know, we dove into the process of staffing in our personnel meeting, and how that effectively is a little bit lengthy, and you know, goes through the county and HR because of the MOU contract with the county, for those that don't know, and then it goes through approval of the county board, and then we hire. And then how long is it going to take to find these niche experts and ideal candidates, and then are they going to get onboarded and hired? So, like, I'm just starting to feel a little anxious about, you know, everything that we're talking about is great, and I don't want to lessen the quality by any means, or also diminish any voices in the communities, or their recommendations or suggestions, because it is taxpayer money, and we're representing a lot of different people with a lot of different budgets and strengths, and so that is very important to me as well. Just wonder, you know, and just, I guess, want everyone to know that I'm thinking, and I don't know if it will be a shared concern, is whatever we do, how is that going to impact, if we choose to do onboarding and hire, not just do with consulting, how is that going to impact our timeline, and what is our kind of ETA of going through this process and actually getting to hire somebody?
Yes.
I mean, I'm thinking now goes through the budgeting, and then we have our workshop and our community meeting, and then we go through HR, and we start, you know, recruiting, and then are we into 2026?
Right, so my plan is to continue working with the Personnel Committee, you know, with check-ins. Again, I do have the two job specs. There are job specifications that I submitted, the proposed, and I'm waiting for HR. So then once I have their, you know, feedback as far as if we've appropriately chosen the correct, you know, senior planner, associate planner positions with the tasks that we are planning to give the individuals. So once we have that, I plan to give that to the Personnel Committee along with the next step. So there, again, when we looked at the scope of work for the Personnel Committee, these were built into them. So it's not a one and done, or in this case, 2 meetings and we're done. There are multiple steps to this process. And so I will continue to engage the Personnel Committee, and then, of course, the Budget Committee as we move forward.
Well, speaking to that, Vice Chair Alpine and I met with Michelle last week, and he expressed that issue had come up on the timeliness of the county hiring process and the processes we use. And I assured both Michelle and Commissioner Alpine that, you know, that's why we all sit up here, is to help prioritize with our staff of our various organizations. And so once there is a plan, then
yes,
we will do what we can do to expedite that from a county process. Unfortunately, with PERS and with the county HR, you know, we did this when we brought Michelle on, and we had to look at special classifications, and we did go through a bit of time because we have to make sure we are in compliance with CalPERS on all these things to protect the employees and to protect our status with them. It's a little more time-consuming than we'd always like it to be, but I'm happy to expedite, and I know our new HR director is great. He understands these issues and has heard already from me about the situation, and so we'll keep moving in that way. So
Yes.
I want to assure you that we're not trying to be, from the county side, county staff is not trying to be in the way of expediting this, so. Any other comments? Questions? Okay, then I would look for action.
Motion to approve the staff recommendation as it's presented in the staff report.
Thank you, Commissioner Rohan. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Eklund. And then
We do need a roll call.
a roll call on the budget, yes. Did we need I did a roll call on one and not on the other previously. Correct me when I need to do that. Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Alpine.
Yes.
Commissioner Eklund.
Yes.
Commissioner Landon.
Yes.
Commissioner Rohan.
Yes.
Alternate Commissioner Friedman.
Yes.
And alternate Commissioner Youngblood.
Yes.
And Chair Gustafson.
Aye. Thank you. Good discussion. Now we'll go on to item number 7 on our agenda tonight, which is our business item, our executive officer's report.
Thank you, Chair. I don't have any new items. I think I've reported on all the new items and ongoing items that we're working on, but I'm happy to take any questions if there's any specific projects that that you have questions about. Otherwise, I don't have any more to report.
Any questions, commissioners? Okay, not seeing any. Then correspondence, did you want to report on any of item 8, the correspondence items?
Well, just the top, I did attend and present at the Cal LAFCO board meeting, I believe it was a week ago. Time escapes me, but where I presented their budget for the current year and the proposed budget for the new fiscal year, and both items were approved unanimously by their board, and they are continuing to work through their staffing challenges. As you know, they currently do not have an executive director. And so we do have Jose Enriquez, who is the Sacramento executive officer, filling in that role for the moment. And then we do have help from our prior executive director, Pamela Miller, who is currently a LAFCO commissioner, but she is helping with all of the transition. And so we are going to have a staff workshop in Temecula. Did I say it right? Okay, yay. In Temecula at the end of this month. And so there will be listening sessions and opportunities to receive feedback from staff. And I know they are scheduling those, I'm calling them listening sessions, but I think they're calling them something else. It's an opportunity for you to provide feedback and ideas to their board, and they will be going around the state doing that. But they will be starting with, the staff workshop at the end of this month. They're calling it a focus group. Again, it's to hear your thoughts, ideas, etc. So I think we do have a number of correspondence from ongoing projects. Really we have negotiations underway for a couple of projects, and those are the other items here under correspondence.
Thank you. You could ask the Cal LAFCO board to figure out more state funding for LAFCOs. How's that? I know they're trying to survive, but we need to. Commissioner comments, item 9. Any further commissioner comments for tonight? Yes, Commissioner Alpine.
I have one that'd be pertaining to LAFCO. Midway Heights County Water District was exploring reorganizing or coming into PCWA. That study, we did our own independent study between the two agencies, and we found out that it would cost them about $40 million. And so
That's
I don't
real-
think it's
that's
going to
real
happen.
money, okay.
I don't think that's going to happen any soon. It was about, if you broke it down, it would be $500 a month per ratepayer per thing to just fund it. But at least there's a study out there and was explored. And in that study was looking at the upgrades, mostly had to do with the upgrades and for fire flows and fire hydrants. With the main system that would feed had to be upgraded to I think a minimum of 6-inch capacity to meet fire flows. But there is a way that the board of Midway Heights still are going to get together and talk about various options of what they'd like to do, or maybe piecemeal the system together over some long-term projects. But just to let LAFCO know, that was a possible reorganization that didn't come here. There is one out. There's another study with Christian Valley. They were looking at whether to come fully into PCWA and part of the water consolidation projects, or just having a true water supply and not having a plant. That study is still out, but that may be coming before us. And this all has to do with the efforts that have been proceeding for the last 5 or 6 years of small failing water systems and consolidations, just like Cindy led on the Tahoe and the West Shore, and the various small private districts. There's been big efforts on the west side from Alta all the way down to various parts in Auburn that have been slowly consolidated, working with our partners at County Environmental Health and other places, of finding places that are hot spots where people have poor water or failing water systems. And we've been working with the state of applying those Prop 1 funds of getting solutions. So, but that's kind of happening. And there's also, after the fallout of the LA fire, water is on everybody's minds, and that's been taking a lot of the special districts' times, talking to constituents and fire. So there's just a lot of action that would probably a lot of conversations that may produce workload that'll come to LAFCO or not, but it's just out there, and I thought the commission should know that that's happening.
Thank you. Any other commissioner comments? Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's a really tough road, especially in light of fires, and especially where some of these water systems are located. Okay, well, with that, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor? Thank you.